Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is John Rose, and today I'm going to take a look at the global world debt. So I'm going to once again revisit a video I did recently called the Global Balance Sheet of 2018, or just Global Balance Sheet 2018. And I tried to help you guys understand that we should have nothing but assets on this planet. We shouldn't have any liabilities, but we do. And I read an article today that said that number is 247 trillion. Saw a friend of mine this morning, just started juice fast yesterday. Way to go, Les! Woo! And he was saying, he just read an article that was like 327, 21 trillion or something like that. And of course, the first thing I thought of is, well, I remember looking at my file before I came out here after I'd read this article that talked about the $4 and $15 trillion derivatives scam that was going on back in 2006 at the end of that year. And this is where most of our debt is coming. It's called odious debt, my friends. Iceland proved to the world not too long ago when they audited their books, because they didn't think they owed all that money. It turned out 93% of it was bogus. It's called odious debt. And in order to understand that, you have to understand a little bit about the Great Depression about 100 years ago here in America. You have to understand a little bit about the Glass-Steagall Act. You have to understand a little bit about the Financial Services Modernization Act of 1999. And again, it all ties into one of my favorite topics, usury, the loan of money at interest. But derivatives, that's a whole different ball game. What they're doing with the derivatives market is insane. This is how we got in trouble in America a long time ago when we had the Great Depression. And that's why they passed the Glass-Steagall Act saying, we're not going to let you guys do that anymore. And yet, in a 25-year period of time, they tried to repeal that 11 times, or 12 times a charm. In 1999, they finally repealed the Glass-Steagall Act with the Financial Services Modernization Act. I'm going to tell you right now, my friends, anytime you see that word modernization, you're getting screwed or we're getting screwed. And there are dozens of them right now. The Food and Drug Modernization Act, the Medicare and Prescription Drug Modernization Act, on and on and on, the Food and Safety Modernization Act, the Financial Services Modernization Act, the Future Commodities Modernization Act. All these modernization acts are saying we got to bring things up modern. Before you know it, they're going to do away with our Constitution, claiming that it's obsolete. It's got to be modernized. Poppycock. The more laws there are, the more corruption there is. We're better off with the fewer amount of laws. And of course, we're really getting in trouble with these damn bureaucracies. The Food and Drug Administration was established in 1905. They had to set that up because Rockefeller was getting ready to manipulate the medical industry with the 1910 Flexner Report, where he started manipulating who could monopolize his industry to sell us his poisons, make a bunch of money and keep us sick at the same time. And that's half the equation. Remember my whole YouTube channel, ultimate tool of control, our health, or lack of it, the absolute tool of control, the money. Now we're debt slaves. And what are derivatives? What was the Glass-Steagall Act all about? What was the Financial Services Modernization Act all about? It was all about the derivatives. And what are derivatives? Well, again, to understand that, you have to know a little bit about commodities. If you know anything about commodities, people bet and gamble on whether or not a particular commodity is going to go up in value. And they'll buy it in hopes that it will. So whether that commodity is corn or wheat or whatever, doesn't really matter what you trade in. You buy it at a price hoping that a month later it'll be worth twice as much and you can make double your money. Now, in my earlier career as a financial accountant, tax accountant, did a lot of tax returns for people in the commodities market. One year they'd make a couple $100,000, the next year they'd lose a couple $100,000. That's just how it worked. Price didn't always go up, sometimes it went down. But now with derivatives, that's a whole new ball game. And it's all designed to keep us poor. It's another way to create odious debt. Now what these guys are able to do is they're able to gamble on whether it goes up or down. I'm going to gamble goes down. I'm going to gamble goes up. The catch here is you don't have to buy it. I'm going to gamble $500 trillion. These pork bellies are going to go down. Damn, they went up. I owe $500 trillion. Bail me out, folks. Too big to fail. Bail me out. Bullshit. You need to fail. We need to renege on all of this odious debt. And this is only the beginning. But it's where we start, because that's the largest part of it, are these bogus derivative debts that is somebody gambling and they lose. And you can gamble more than you have. It's insane. And it's by design so they can pass that debt on to us. It's insane. It's absolutely insane that this goes on. And then when you look at the other way we're being put into debt by the artificial printing of the money and then loan it back at us plus the interest, where the interest doesn't exist, so we're always going to be in debt with that interest. That's the usury. And remember, the way the system is set up, when the money's printed, basically it's just a bookkeeping entry. Let's say a bank gets $1,000 with the Federal Reserve rate at 10%. They can all they have to do is keep 10% of that, and they can loan out another $900, and then another $810, and on, and ultimately that $1,000 gets up to like $90,000. Now, you got to think about what that really means. The $1,000 never really existed to begin with. The extra 89 or 90,000, whatever that number is going to be, close to it, that's all made up. It never existed. Think about this. Think of the implications of what that means. You go to a bank and buy a house, they just make a couple bookkeeping entries. Notes payable, notes receivable. There's no money. There's no legal contract. We should be able to foreclose on every stupid bank loan we have and let these guys go out of business, because the people who own all these things have so much money, it's ridiculous. I've heard the richest person in the world has like $500 trillion, and that's one family, and you got like 200 families, so I don't know how that's spread out, whether they are 90% of the total wealth or 10% or 0.5%, they all got $500 trillion, but that's kind of what it's like. The powers that be have so much, it's insane, because they've been screwing us and ripping us off. And now what's happening because of technology, because we're becoming so rich and abundant, they got to really put the screws on us to keep us in debt. It's an illusion. The illusion of scarcity is one of the most important things these people have to control us, or use to control us. So we got to be aware of all these new modernization acts that are going to come out at us to take away our rights, to indebt us somehow, when all we have to do is audit these clowns, throw them in jail, then audit it so we can confiscate what they got. They stole it from us. I liked what, who said that? I can't remember who said it. It'll probably come to me in a second. They said we shouldn't, Yusuf Mullins said we shouldn't audit the Fed. You throw them in jail. You don't audit the mafia. You throw them in jail. And you confiscate what they got. That's where the audit comes in. You don't go audit them to see if they're doing it right. No, we already know they're doing it wrong. They shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't have any liabilities on this planet. Assets everywhere is all we should have. So what should we do right now? Governments need to audit their debts and get rid of all the odious debts immediately. All other liabilities thrown away. You owe money to the bank, screw the bank. They stole the money, they printed it up. You don't have a legal contract with them. In order to have a legal contract, they had to have the money. They never had it. You understand what I'm saying? Remember, if a bank gets $1 billion, they get to end up with $90 billion. All those other 89, 90 billion, whatever it is they loaned out, it didn't exist. Those contracts are null and void. Screw them. We don't owe them any money. We need to get rid of debt and liabilities on this planet. But we can't do it with the mentality we have right now. It just won't work. Now, we can do things with the mentality we have right now to get rid of the odious debt. But to really go to the next level, we need to have a huge transformation in our collective mentality. We've got to understand it's all wrong. We've got an exchange mentality now. It's wrong. We shouldn't think like this. And you know, you've heard me say this over and over. If we weren't making that very first mistake, we would feel one with everything, and we'd come to the understanding The only way we can improve the quality of our lives is to improve the quality of everything around us. And that's how we'd spend our lives. We'd have a gift mentality, knowing that the more we give, the more we receive, because that's what would be happening. Think how wonderful this planet would be if we all understood that, and we stopped competing. We stopped hoarding. When you think how much money these people have, it's insane. When you think how much 247 trillion is, it's insane. Remember, if you make $1 a minute, every minute of the day, $3,600 an hour. Takes you 11 half days to make $1 million. Close to 32 years to make $1 billion. 31,688. Close to 32,000 years. 32,688 years. 31,668,000 years to make $1 trillion. My God, you multiply that times 247, you're at 7.823 or 83 million. Multiply times 500, you got, what's that, 15.8 million years. So if I have $500 trillion, I'm going to inherit it to my children. That's the equivalent of me working for 15.8 million years, making $1 a second, $3,600 an hour. That's why money shouldn't exist. We shouldn't be able to accumulate wealth in this manner, in this fashion. That's part of what makes us so corrupt. And if we didn't have the wrong mentality to begin with, we would never have money to begin with. But once we got the wrong mentality, then we got the money. Now we got the wrong mentality. We want to accumulate all this wealth. And it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, isn't that how you were kind of brought up? Work hard all your whole life, son. If you work hard your whole life, you can save up a bunch of money, and now you can retire. You've earned all that money, and now you put your money to work. And what do most people need money for when they retire? The biggest part of it is pay the medical bills. That's why they have these Medicare prescription drug modernization acts, so they can keep stealing money from the government, putting them in debt, so that when we're born into a liability. Liability should not exist on this planet. We live on an extremely abundant planet. The only reason why we have a liability is we've got the wrong mentality. That's why it's so important we reach that magic number, the 100th monkey, the tipping point, the critical mass, where enough of us do it that we all start doing it. And then once the majority of us do it, what's going to happen? We're going to do away with most of the laws we have now that are designed to keep us where we are, and basically only have one law. That's all we need. You got to have a minimal biophoton level, whatever that number is. And when we do that, we'll have a different collective mentality. We'll have a gift mentality. We'll understand that we should cooperate instead of compete. And then because we'll see the rewards. Imagine what it's like. Think about this. Imagine if you're on an island and you got 100 of you out there, but you all got the wrong mentality, and you're all off on your own and building your own huts and building your own fires and getting your own food and working individually. But what happens if you all get together and say, look, we'll build the hut, we'll go collect the food, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll share it. Now imagine if there's 1,000 people doing that. How about 1 billion people? How about 7.6 billion people with that mentality? Right now, if we split that 247 trillion, every one of us, even everyone on everywhere on this planet, owes $32,500. And that's saying that these people in third world countries that are making $1 a day, $1 a year, or $1 a day, $2 a day, they've got to pay that too. If we split up the debt equally. It's a scam. It's a Ponzi scam. Back in 2006, when they had this $415 trillion derivative Ponzi scheme, it was 9 times the global economy. And how do they do it? It's by gambling. And why do they do it? Because they want to pass that debt on to us. It's just another way to screw us, because most of us don't understand money well enough to figure out what's being done to us. And then, of course, we got corrupt politicians that will sell their souls and repeal the Glass-Steagall Act and allow the same thing to happen again. Once again, beware of all those modernization acts, realizing that it took them 12 times to finally repeal the Glass-Steagall Act over a 25-year period of time. It failed 11 times. Oh, we let up a little bit one time, and damn it, they got away with it, and here it is again. Now what's it going to take to do away with all this crap? These bankers that don't have any right controlling our economy in any way, shape, or form. We need to wake up to this. Why can't we make our politicians do something about it? Isn't there enough people on this planet right now that know what I'm talking about? What is it going to take for us to get organized to light a fire under these politicians, these corrupt politicians, or to get them to do something, or get them out of there? Something's got to happen. And it is happening. More and more of us are waking up, and it's exciting. So it's a big part of the puzzle to understand what's going on. And then you got to pick your revolution. Realizing the most important one is an individual revolution. That we've got to be the best that we can be, because we've got the ultimate tool and the absolute tool of control. Ultimate tool is our health. Most of us aren't playing our role and being the best that we can be. And that's all we have to do initially. And then all of those that have any understanding about the absolute tool of control, money, the creation of money, the loaning of money, all the corrupt systems that it influences, the government, the educational systems, the media, and everything else. If you have expertise in those, then that's your revolution on top of it. And if you want to do the best in those, there's a lot of people doing already and that part of it, but you don't know about the other part. So that's part of my mission on my YouTube channel, is to unite these two groups. The health movement, the freedom movement. It's the truth movement. When we can put these two together and realize that they can't control us if we're healthy, and then once we get healthy, we won't have the wrong mentality. That's the day. This planet and every living system on it is in for a treat.